Good afternoon, Year 3. We're looking at our second lesson of fractions now, and we're starting to look at our drawing of fractions, but in a slightly different way. I'm going to do it on paper today rather than on a whiteboard, just because we had a couple of emails asking about sort of how to lay it out in a book on some piece of paper. So I'm going to try and lay everything out on paper today so you can see how to do it. So we'll just have a quick recap of what we did yesterday in terms of our fractions. And the things we were looking at. So if I give you a fraction, so here I'm going to give you 1 over 3. Now that means my whole is split up into 3, and it means I've got one of those. So if I was drawing that, I could just draw it next to it. And I've got a ruler here, and I'm just going to draw a bar just next to it. Good ruler practice as well. A quick bar there, and I'm going to show this fraction, this 1/3 I've got here. Knowing that this bottom number, the denominator, tells us that the whole thing, whatever that whole is split up into 3 equal parts. So if I was splitting this up into 3 equal parts, have a look. Now you might want to do this with pencil, just so you can rub it out. I tried pencil, but the pen shows up better on the camera. So there's my 3 equal parts, and I've got one of those. My numerator tells me I've got one. So I'm just going to get a highlighter. As you can see, I've got one of those parts. I have one of those pieces. And that's what we looked at the other day. If we were going to have a slightly different fraction, so say we've got 3 over 5, how would that look? Again, we draw another bar. Okay, it doesn't matter the length of the bar. Okay, don't go silly with the length of it, but as long as it is long enough. Okay, and we're looking at, it's hard to draw roughly 5 equal parts. Our denominator tells us that the whole thing is split up into 5, and we're looking at drawing 5 equal parts. So just have a think beforehand. Right, I'm going to have one line there, another line there, another there, and you want to get them roughly so they do look equal. So there's my roughly 5 equal parts, maybe not quite, okay, and I've got 3 of those parts. If you wanted to, we could draw the ruler below. If we were going to try and get 5 equal parts, we might want to measure it out, but you've got to make sure you're thinking of this as equal parts. Okay, I've got 3 of those parts. There, 1, 2, 3 of those equal parts is what I'm aiming for. Now, today we're moving on a little bit, and we're looking again at fractions. We're looking again at bars, but we're looking again at how we represent the fraction. Now, the great thing about a bar model is it links really nicely to a number line. So below my bar model here, I'm just going to show you, there's my line coming down. There's my first little bit of my number line. My number line is going to stop at the other end of my bar. So I've got a nice number line there, which I can have for my fractions. Okay, and the bar links really nicely. There's my first bit of my bar. There's going to be my next dash on my number line. There's my next bit on my bar. There's going to be my next dash on my number line. Okay, starting here, I've got nothing coloured in. As I get that one, that's 1/3 there. So on my number line, it would be 1/3. Okay, if I had the next one coloured in, so if I had that one coloured in and that one coloured in, I'd now have 2/3. So if I've got that far on my number line, it would be 2/3 that I've got. Okay, if I had all of them coloured in, it would be 3/3 of my number line. And 3/3 is, if you look, the whole thing coloured in. It doesn't matter what it's been cut up into with the denominator. It's the whole thing that's been coloured in here. Okay, so that means 3/3 is the same as 1 whole. It's the whole thing that's been coloured in. 3/3 is the same as 1 whole. So we're linking our fraction as a number to a bar. The whole's being chopped up into that amount. It's being divided equally into those parts. And then the numerator tells us how many we've got. Today, our next step is linking it to this number line. Okay? Knowing that we've got the fraction, the bar, and then how the number line links directly to the bar. Our bar here lines up directly with our number line. It lines up directly with the number line. And then 1/3 on my number line is going to be there. Okay? Now, today's questions are looking at some shapes, like this one here. Have a look at that shape, and then from that, just like we did the other day, I'm going to draw a bar for that shape. So I can see straight away that that shape is out of 5. So it's out of 5, it's been split. The circle has been chopped up, divided into 5 equal parts, and I have 3 of those parts. Okay, that's what I've got. That is my fraction. I'm now going to have a go at drawing it as a bar. So I'm just going to do the bar next to it. Let's roughly work out. I think we're good about there. Nice and big so everyone can see. So there's my bar. I'll do it 2 lines down. Trying to keep it nice and neat. Now I know this bar has been divided into 5 equal parts. It's been divided into 5. So I'm going to have to roughly work out where those 5 are. So I want to think, oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm just going to mark on a little bit to see, am I happy with where those would be? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I am. Okay. Split it up. That's pretty perfect there. So there's my 5. My whole has been divided into 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 equal parts. Okay, equal parts. And then I have 3 of those parts. I've got 1, 2, 3 of those parts. Just like above, where we had our 1, okay, our numerator was our 1, it tells us we've got 1 of those. Here our numerator was 3, tells us we had 3 of those parts. Here we've got 3/5 again, okay, from that fraction that we had the circle divided up into 5 equal parts. And now, today, step on from the other day, I'm going to now change this into a number line. So I'm going to miss a little bit of a gap, and I'm going to do a line that's the same length as my bar. Okay, so it's exactly the same as my bar, and this is how the number line links to our fractions. This is why drawing it as a bar is a lot easier to understand and link to other things than other shapes. So I've got there's my 0, so my start of my number line, and this end is my full, my whole. Okay, so I'm just going to do my dashes in between. I'm using a ruler. It really helps to line it up with a ruler. If you don't have a ruler, using some kind of straight line, straight edge would really help. Okay, so I've got my number line here at the bottom now. Links directly to my bar. I know my whole has been split up into 5. So all of these are going to have 5 on the bottom. It's the whole thing. The whole has been split into 5, and that one is going to be 5 5s. It's the whole. So when it's all of it, it's 1 whole. Okay, and we go along. I've got 0 out of 5 here. I should say. And then I've got my 1, 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, and 4/5. Now we can see 3/5 goes that far along. goes along to there. Okay, so 3/5 is going to be my answer. Okay, and today what we're doing is we're representing images of fractions. We're representing them first of all as a bar. So I want you to represent them as a bar like we were doing the other day. I want you to do it as numbers. Okay, as numbers like we have here. And then finally, we're going to do it, which is the new step, as a number line. So you're going to represent them as a number line at the bottom. And the questions should be laid out something like this. You could do it on line paper, plain paper. You don't, as you can see, I haven't actually drawn the image that I've given you. I haven't drawn this image in the top corner. But what I have done is I've got it on the screen so you can see it, and this here is what we're going to lay out in the question. Now, this one, say it was question A, I would put just to the side A, and then I'd miss a little gap, and then I'd do B just below it. Okay, right, have a go at the do it. It's coming up now. Don't forget to pause. And then what I will do is I will go through every question just like this in a book so you can see how we should lay them out. Okay, if you're a bit stuck, you could whiz on and see how I wanted it laid out and then just go back to the questions after. So go on to the do it now and don't forget to pause to have a look at the screen. Okay, so we're going to go through the answers now. I've got here the answer for A. Now A is into a half, so the whole has been divided equally into two, and I've got one of those pieces. If I was going to do that as a bar, draw my bar. I then look, right, where's the middle? There's the middle. There's my half, my 1/2, and then below it, I'm going to do my number line. So I want to get my ruler. I want to work out where does it start. That's where my number line starts. That's where it finishes. The same length as the bar. Draw my line to go there. Make those a little bit longer. And I know, oh, there's my middle bit. So here, I've got no pieces. Then if I go that far along my bar, I've got one of my two parts. And then if I get all the way to the end here, I've got two of my two parts. And that, if I've got all of that, that is one whole. That is the whole thing. If I've got all of that there, that is the whole thing. That's what the first one should look like. If we look at letter B, and that again, it's a different shape this time. It's a triangle. The whole's a triangle. It's been divided into two equal parts, and I've got one of those parts coloured in. So again, I'm going to use the same sort of length as I did before. It's that long. Okay, and it's split in half, which is about there. Okay, and I've got one of those pieces. I've got one of those halves. Okay, and then again below, I'm going to draw my number line. So I've got my number line just below, just like this. 1/2 about there, and then I'm going to have a look again. Right, oh, it's out of two still. The whole length of the number line's been split up into two, and I've got none of those pieces here. If I get that far along, it's still been split up into two, and I've got one of those pieces. And if I get all the way along my number line, I'd have two of those pieces, and that again equals one whole if I get that far. Now, something I forgot to do on the first one and on this one actually is just circling where this number line is. So 1/2 is there on my number line. It's also there on my number line as well. So I've coloured in my bar and I've got my number line below it. Okay, let's have a look at the third one. So letter C. Now this one, a bit different. If we look, the hole's a circle and it's been divided into 5 equal parts. And we've got coloured in one of those parts. Now, a little bit trickier to draw with, so my hole this time, just so it gives me a bit more room, I'm going to do it a little bit longer. And when I'm doing it, I'm trying just to picture, right, how far's 5 equal parts? Okay, so this bit may not be exact when you do it. I'm going to draw them in, just a little dash. They look roughly, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 equal parts, yeah. I've divided it into 5 equal parts. So there we go. It might not be exact, but it's pretty close, and I've got one of those equal parts. Okay, remembering the numerators all the way through tell us how many of those equal parts we got. Now below, I've got my number line, and I know it's going to be from there to here, the same length as the bar, which is why the bar is such a useful tool to link and connect all of that mass together. If we were using the circle, the original picture, it wouldn't quite link in terms of our understanding for it. So we've got our hole the whole way, and it's been, we know, divided into 5 equal parts. If I'm this end of the number line, I've got none of those 5. If I go a little bit further along here, I go that far, I go 1/5 along the number line, I'm there. If I go further along, I get 2/5, 3/5, 4/5, and then all the way along my number line, you can see here I've got 5/5. I've got one hole. I've gone the whole way along my number line. Now, drawing 1/5 on a number line, I say, oh, I've only gone that far. It's easy to see with the bar how far we've gone. We've gone 1/5 along. So that would be my answer to that one. Okay, moving on to look at D. I'll go through all of these. So here we've got our square. We've got it, it's been divided into 4 equal parts. And we've got one of those 4. So again, I'm going to draw my bar. It doesn't matter how long our bar is, because it doesn't matter how long our hole is, it's how much we're chopping it up into. So I'm cutting it here into 4 equal pieces. So again, I'm just going to do little dashes. Do they look equally apart? Yeah, I think they probably are. And then I'm going to draw my lines. If you're using a pencil, obviously, it's a little bit easier to rub it out. Now again here, my numerator tells me I've got one of those 4 parts. So I'm going to highlight 1. Again, I don't need to always highlight the first one in my picture. Any of these would do, but this does help when we link it to our number line below. So I'm linking it to my number line. It's going to make my number line the same length as my bar. We can see here directly how number lines and fractions all link together. Okay, so this one, the whole is out of 4. If I'm at this end of the number line, I've got nothing out of 4. I've then got 1 out of 4. I'm still out of 4. If I get that far along, I've got 2 out of 4, 2 quarters. I've then got 3 out of 4, and then if I get here, I've got as far as 4 out of 4. 4 out of 4 we know is 1 whole. Okay, if we've got the whole shape, if that's there. Now, 1/4, if we've got a 4 on the bottom, we say quarters. We don't say 1/4, we say 1/4. And we know that 1/4 along my number line is there. It's that far along the number line. Okay, right, looking at E. Now, getting on to slightly trickier ones to try and do now. So this one, if we look really closely at E, this is out of 12. So a bit of a harder one to do. You might have to count it carefully. It is out of 12. Okay, and you can see we're out of 12 and we've got 6 of those 12 pieces. We've got 6 of those 12. So my bar, again, doesn't matter how long my bar is, but this time it needs to be cut into 12 pieces. So my bar needs to be cut into 12 pieces. So I'm going to roughly find halfway, okay, and then I'm going to try and chop this into 12 pieces. This might take a while just to do. Okay, so let's see, how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I know that 2 6s give me 12. I'm going to draw my 12 in. Now, trying to make them equal, it is tricky when you're drawing it. It's why when we do it in school, we tend to give you pictures to do, but it's good practice to copy them. So here, there's my bar. The whole has now been chopped up into 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And my numerator tells me that I've got 6 of those 12. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Jumping down to a number line below. Once we've drawn the bar, again we can use the same distances if we keep our number line nice and neat, nice and tidy. Think about your ruler. And I'm just going to use my little ruler here just to do my dashes on my number line. Really take care when you're doing it. Get someone maybe to help you with the lines, and then we know we're going to be out of 12. So 0 twelfths, 1 12th. This one here, 2 twelfths, 3 twelfths, 4 twelfths, 5 twelfths, and in the middle 6 twelfths. Again, we're really trying to squeeze them in there. Okay, I probably should have done this a little bit bigger, but again, as long as I understand what's going on, that's the important thing. Okay, I understand it. I know if I've got 12 twelfths, if I've got all 12s, again, you're probably all saying that is one hole on the end. Now I've got 6 of them. 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to go along my number line. 1, 1, 12, 2 12s, 3 12s, 4 12s, 5 12s. 6 12s takes me to there. So there is 6 12ths on my number line. Now some of you will be looking at that thinking, oh, I can see a slightly different one there. So it looks like the circle's been cut in half. It has been cut in half, and so has the bar. So 6 12ths, if you spotted that, is something called an equivalent fraction of 1/2. Okay, which we will be looking at a bit more if you can see it a bit later on in the term. Okay, but today we're really focusing on our number lines. Okay, right, our next one, F. Now this one, we've got a square, we've got it chopped a different way now it's chopped into triangles, and it's been chopped, so it's been divided into 4 equal triangles. All the triangles are equal, they're not different, they're equal. And we've got 2 of those triangles. So I get my ruler back out. I'm going to do a bit of a longer one this time. Just pop it on. Okay, again, it doesn't matter how big your hole is, as long as your parts are equal. So roughly halfway is about there. Okay, so as long as your parts are equal, it doesn't matter really how long your hole is. It doesn't matter at all, actually, because whatever the hole is, doesn't matter what it is, we are dividing it into 4 equal parts. Okay, and I've got here 2 of these parts. So I should have it like that, and then my number line below. So here, 0 out of 4, 1 out of 4, 2 out of 4, 3 out of the 4 parts. And then if I've got all 4 of those, again, that equals 1 whole. Okay, and you can see I've gone 1/4, 2/4 along. I get 2/4 there. And my work should be looking similar to this in my book, exactly as I've done it, trying to lay it out like this, trying to have it so it does. Right, we'll just do the last questions now. Okay, looking at our final 3 here. I will say I'm using a different page for every 3 questions just because it works better on the camera, but please don't do that. Don't waste the paper by doing that and doing it that way. So we're on to G here. We've got a circle again. It's been divided into 3 equal parts, and we've got one of those parts there. So I'm just going to, again, draw my bar. It doesn't matter how big the bar is because it's how much we're dividing it into that counts. And I'm cutting this into roughly 3 equal parts. Well, if we were doing this properly, it would be exactly 3. It's hard on the paper. And I've got one of those 3 parts. And then below my number line, should use my ruler, Mr. Hennessy. There's my number line below. And I just draw my quick number line. I'm getting quite quick at doing these now. So I've got 0/3. I've then got 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, and again, that is 1 whole when I've got all the way along. I've gone 1/3 along my number line, which puts me there. Okay, on to H. Now this one is again, it is a bar in fact, and it is chopped up into 4 equal parts, and we've got one of those parts. So we're gonna quickly draw a bar. Even though it's got a bar, I'm gonna draw a bar. I'm not asking you to draw the shapes we're giving you. I'm asking you to draw the bars to go with it because it's a lot easier to draw a bar than it is to do that. And I've got one of those pieces there. So if I was doing that on my number line, have it below on my number line. Use your bar to help you lay it out. This one's a bit messy, Mr. Hennessy. So I've got 0 here at the start. I've then got 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, and 4/4. 4/4 equals 1 whole. Okay, and we've gone 1 place along our number line, which means we are there with our work. Okay, right, all the way down to I now. The last one on the do it, and then there's some solve it's and apply it's to have a little look at after. So this one, it's a circle again. It's been chopped up into 1, 2, 3, 4 equal parts. So my denominator is 4, and there are 3 of those parts that I've got. Okay, 3 of those parts that I've got shaded in. So again, another bar all the way along, and it's tight. It's chopped up into 4, so I'm just going to take my time. That's roughly right. Into 4, and I've got 1/3 of those. My numerator says I've got 1, 2, 3 of those parts. So I've got 3 of those parts. Turn that into a bar below. And I've got 0 of the 4, 1 of the 4, 2 of the 4 parts, 3 of the 4, 4 over 4. Now 4/4 equals 1 whole. Okay, so there's my 3/4, and that's it. Now have a look at the apply it. It'll come up on the screen next. I want you to have a look and see what is wrong with this. What is wrong with the bar model that I've done here, and see if you can show me how it should be done. So the apply it, have a look. What is the wrong with this bar and this number line? What mistake has been made? What should it be saying? Right, looking at the first, the bar here. So this bar should read out of 5. Now the number line does read out of 5, but it doesn't look right. So what they haven't done is when they've done their number line, and I'm just going to do the number line here, they haven't divided it into 5. They haven't used the bar to keep it in line. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and my 5 should probably be there. We'll forget that bit on the end, okay? So it's going to be out of 5, 0 out of 5, 1 out of 5, 2 out of 5, 3 out of 5, 4 out of 5, and finally here, I've got 5 out of 5, which is my whole bar. Now, if you look, they've done 0 out of 5, 1 out of 5, 2 out of 5, 3 out of 5, 4 out of 5. They haven't gone all the way to the 5 out of 5, okay? So a mistake there. Okay, on the Solve It this week, with an adult or someone older than you, I want you to challenge each other to see who can draw a bar model and a number line for a fraction